Today is a day I've been looking forward to for a very long time. I'm talking about Morphogen Nutrition. If you're on our Instagram, you see it a lot. And if you're on our Discord, you definitely see a lot of it. In terms of YouTube content, I think we've mostly talked about their Somagen, as well as the 2 podcasts that we had with Ben. That's changing right now. We're talking about HydroGen from them. This is a product that, man, I don't think I've even had it for 2 weeks and I'm almost done with the bottle. Like, getting to this point, I usually just wait for the blog to be written, get a little bit of a reel up, and then I start banging on the YouTube video, and I'm already running through this product because it is so tasty and effective. Now, if you know me, you know that I am bonkers about hydration. I strength train in the morning. I often, do some sort of sauna as well, and I also train Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu in the evening. Not every day, but I'm doing a lot of sweating and work, and hydration in my mind is one of the main keys for performance. So I'm very passionate about hydration. Mike made fun of me for a little bit because of how big I'm on it, but he then converted over to where I'm at, where I think that there's a lot of mineral deficiencies, and especially if you're an athlete, not just accounting for deficiencies, but being proactive about electrolyte intake, I think changes performance, changes mind fog, changes your just everything about the way that you live. It is a huge deal to me. It's why I keep a bottle off camera with electrolytes in it at all times. There's a lot of different ways to do hydration. We definitely talked about a lot of different directions with it. There's novel ingredients that can take care of it. There's also different ratios of electrolytes that we often talk about. And with Morphogen, I think one of the biggest things that we're going to be talking about is the dosage of sodium. You see, we have a couple different sources of sodium here, from pink Himalayan salt to sodium phosphate anhydrous monohydrate, also coconut water powder. But the big deal is that the yield here is going to be 500 milligrams. Big amount of sodium. Now, there might be bigger amounts out there, but this amount is kind of what I consider to be at one sitting what I want to get. With each meal, I try to salt meals, and at the end of the day, I want to get a few grams of it, of course. And I don't like big doses at any one time. That can make my heart kind of feel weird, and a lot of people have anecdotally reported that. So as an athlete, I think one of the biggest things to look at is not just fluid loss from sweating. Of course, we do sweat out water. Anyone who's, sweat in one singular location for long enough sees it pool up, and it is liquid. We don't just lose fluids, we lose electrolytes. And if you're only putting fluids back in, you're not going to properly hydrate. You need the electrolytes to help continue that hydration. And of that electrolyte loss, sodium is the prime loss. That's going to be one of the biggest ones. Approximately 0.9 grams of sodium per liter of sweat is lost every time you sweat. And the next biggest loss is going to be potassium at 0.2. There's a big difference there. In severe cases, this can lead to dehydration, and that is a life-threatening condition. As someone who has gone to the hospital for being dehydrated from exercise, you don't want to do that. I'm not going to talk about sodium and safety too much, because if you're watching this channel, you probably should be beyond myths around nutrition, but there is a giant myth that sodium can lead to higher blood pressure. And while that is true for some people who already have hypertension and may need to keep that in check, if you're a healthy person, and especially if you're an athlete, sodium is an incredibly important electrolyte and nutrient overall. It's kind of funny because in Thomas Reamer's article, High Salt Intake, Detrimental Not Only for Blood Pressure, but Also for Bone Health, he quoted that the lowest risk of cardiovascular events and death occur in populations consuming an average sodium intake of 3 to 5 grams per day. So adverse reactions don't really even start to begin until above 5 grams a day, and I wouldn't recommend 5 grams for most people. Sodium is very safe. Not only is it safe, it's effective at improving performance in athletes. Now, another study, again, 2011, which was a big study in the Journal of American Medicine, showed up to 7 grams of sodium. Didn't increase cardiovascular disease either. So overall, just kind of proving here, it's a great ingredient to use and it's absolutely safe. Now, after sodium, we get 270 milligrams of potassium. And I think that this is a really key thing here. We've talked about this before, is the ratio between sodium and potassium. At a 2-to-1 ratio, I'm a big fan of this here. Potassium is something that sometimes you can be a little bit concerned about. If you get too much of it, it can lead to, I'm not going to use the description that someone in the industry once gave me, but this is a safe amount here. And this is one thing that I want to kind of note, is that you can go higher doses in electrolytes, and when you look at keto supplements, you'll often see this. But what I like that Ben did was he used a dosage here that is safe in a great ratio, and if you wanted to use this around the day, more than 1 serving per day, you could safely achieve that. So if you're doing cardio in the morning and training later, you could use this in both of those sessions without a detriment to your health or even a risk of it. Now, one big thing that I'm going to use this as a boast for is that these ratios of these electrolytes oftentimes lead to a great pump. In fact, with previous electrolytes over the last year, we've had consumers and viewers claim that, like, I don't even use a pump product anymore. I just use electrolytes and I get a great pump. And we've been very excited about that realization, because this has been something that I've been saying for a few years, is that if you know how to diet correctly with proper carb intake and sodium and potassium intake, you can achieve great pumps without exogenous nitric oxide boosters and stuff like that. Now, that's actually a great way to add things in and get a better pump. Volugen is one of my favorite pump products of all time in general, not just from Morphogen. But the point rings here that by addressing some deficiencies in electrolytes, you can achieve an awesome pump where most people would be reaching to an entirely extra supplement to just get that effect. So with HydraGen, you get more than one product. You do get amazing amounts of electrolytes here, but you're also going to start to get a pump from some of this stuff. Now, they didn't just give us minerals. They also helped us with the absorption of those minerals. And what I'm talking about here is fructooligosaccharides. We've got a full gram of it here. Now, fructooligosaccharides are going to be carbohydrate molecules consisting of short chains of fructose. They have a great ability to increase mineral uptake. Now, the way they do this is by actually decreasing colon pH, which naturally boosts the solubility of different minerals. But they're also really known as prebiotics. They feed certain species of beneficial bacteria in your gut, which helps them grow and multiply. They feed certain species of beneficial bacteria in your gut, which generate short-chain fatty acids that your gut actually then runs on. So you're getting more than one benefit here. And the last one might not be a huge benefit for people who are used to big formulas like Morphogen's, but fructooligosaccharides really helps out with the flavor of supplements. It's somewhere between 30 and 60% as sweet as table sugar, and we've got a full gram of it in here, so it's going to help with the flavoring a decent amount. And let me just tell you, this summer flavor that they send me, like, I'm addicted to it. I have had to force myself to not drink it as much as I want to, if I'm being honest here. Now, from there, we talk about HydroPrime, which is a glycerol powder from NNB. And if you guys know me, I'm really, really bullish on NNB and this HydroPrime. To put everything out there, we were involved in the process of creating this ingredient. We noticed that the industry was pushing back on a lot of stabilized glycerols and claiming that some of them didn't test out. So we talked to our buddies at NNB about producing a glycerol that tests out every single time you test it. And one of the things that I'm really excited about with Morphogen is that they test every lot. Now, I don't know specifically what ingredients that they test, because they follow actual real SOPs that don't include testing every single ingredient, but moving around the ones that they test per lot, because, well, you have to have some sort of process to show the FDA or concerned consumers that you know what's on the labels in the bottle. But at the same time, spending thousands of dollars every single lot to confirm that is not a really great usage of money. So I'm not saying that they tested specifically for glycerol, but I have seen tests for this HydroPrime, and I am very happy with how it tests out every single time. But what is it? You might be asking. You might not be, I don't know. Stabilized glycerols have been around for a while, but HydroPrime is specifically just a 65% glycerol that is stabilized and in hopes of not clumping too much. Now, one of the things with HydroGen is that they do include these desiccant tabs, and these little pieces of paper in here try to soak up the moisture in the air so that it doesn't clump up the powder itself. But, you know, again, I said I've gone through this pretty quickly, so, as you can see, but I haven't had any clumping issues, even with a gram of HydroPrime in there. Not exactly a huge dosage, but it remains fluffy and light no matter what. Glycerol itself is an osmolyte, which means it helps out a lot with hydration. Makes sense why it's in hydrogen, right? Osmolytes boost cellular hydration by increasing osmotic pressure around cells, which naturally forces a higher amount of water into your cells. Now, that helps with heat stress. So if you're training in a hot situation, it can help out a lot with thermoregulation. But it also improves stores of nutrients available to your cells. And this causes an ergogenic, performance-enhancing effect. Now, one unique benefit that not a lot of people talk about, and it's kind of TMI, is that it reduces urine output. Now, if you've ever had problems, let's say, peeing during your workout, like you're just running there because you drank your pre-workout, you drink your intra-workout, you've had a protein 2 hours ago, and you have to finish your gallon by the end of the day, this could be helpful for that because you're retaining more of the water rather than excreting it. This is kind of like an inside joke with Mike and me that we constantly see these studies. There's multiple that confirm this, and I think it might be helpful for some people. I think it's most helpful before bed, which is kind of a fun idea. But overall, it is a claim that we do like to share in these videos. If some people have that issue, there you go. Here's a solution. Now, this is the part where everyone groans and rolls their eyes. We talk about taurine. 1 gram of taurine here, perfect dosage for taurine. Like, this is like where all of the big athletic benefits of taurine start is at 1 gram. 2018, there was a meta-analysis found that one single 1 gram dosage was enough to immediately boost athletic performance. Now, it's also an antioxidant. It supports calcium signaling, so it could help out with muscle contractions. That's not something I want to make as a big claim, like it's going to make you contract better or anything like that, but it is possible. But the point is that taurine is a conditionally essential amino acid. What that means is anytime you go through something metabolically stressful, injury, illness, or just hardcore training that you might do every day or 5+ days a week, your body's requirement for taurine increases. So that's why you should get it from your supplements. And HydraGen is just one out of many that include taurine. Taurine is an easy supplement to find, and so throwing a gram of it in here makes a lot of sense because you might use this during training, you might use it during the day, you might use it during cardio. No matter what, I'm always going to be welcoming a gram of taurine in my life. Now, if you are looking to make a really cool intra-workout, Synthogen itself has 2 grams. Doesn't have a lot of hydration stuff though. So if you add hydrogen to that, you're going to have amino acids, of course, because Synthogen is an advanced amino acid matrix. But you add in hydration, it becomes a really nice intra-workout with 3 grams of taurine. Now from there we get Aquamin, which is a soluble sea mineral. This is actually seaweed-derived calcium and magnesium, citric acid, and malic acid, and we've got 480 milligrams of here. Now remember, we talk a lot about sodium, potassium, sometimes magnesium, but calcium itself is an electrolyte as well. Aquamin also contains trace minerals, which we don't talk about enough. Manganese, boron. These are things that you don't need a ton of, but the amount that you do need is going to be very important for things like testosterone production, so it is pretty important to get in at some point. There was a 2005 article titled Calcium Requirements for Athletes, and I'm not going to go super far in on calcium. It's not like a ridiculously crazy supplement that you need to use, but there are some important benefits like stabilizing heartbeat, nerve transmission, blood pressure homeostasis, water balance maintenance, cellular reproduction, immunological function, carbohydrate and fat metabolism, nutrient uptake by cells. I'm not saying that you need calcium pre-workout every day, but it is important to hit your RDAs at least, and HydroGen is going to get you there. Now, lastly, we've got AstraGin here. It's a very common ingredient from New Live Sciences. Something I like a lot is they got 50 milligrams in it in here. A lot of companies are cheaping out and going with 25 milligrams. That's not the dosage that you should be using. AstraGen from New Live Sciences they're not really happy with companies using 25 milligrams. They want everyone to be using 50, and that helps out with a lot of stuff going on here, especially if you throw it in with that Synthogen. AstraGen boosts ATP production in your intestinal cells, and that's going to help a lot with intestinal function. It lowers intestinal wall inflammation. You're going to absorb more nutrients. Now, I'm not 100% sure of anything in this product itself that it is actually studied with, so I'm going to be transparent on that. But AstraGen's effects are not limited to just the 30 minutes that you're drinking this. It's going to be a lifestyle type supplement, and it's going to help out with other things, maybe even the food that you're consuming around your workouts, or just using this supplement. So I hope that this breakdown of the panel helps you guys understand the product better and better informs you for your purchasing. If you guys have any questions, feel free to leave them below. But I do have to say, I got this product for free, and we do have a business affiliate relationship with Morphogen, but I've been talking about these guys for years, since before we had any sort of relationship. In fact, I was begging Ben to come on the podcast just because I wanted to hear from him. So if you have any other questions about the company, you could always go watch those 2 podcasts where we meet literally with the CEO and owner and talk about his philosophy around formulating, sourcing, and the products that he sells. He is probably one of the most down-to-earth owners and one of the least marketing-driven brands that I've ever met. In fact, I was just talking to them last night about adding in their abandoned cart messages on Shopify, things that most e-commerce brands do right off the bat. He's focusing on formulas and quality first, and I have a lot of respect for that. So I'm super excited to be talking about their products, and I'm excited to show you guys some more of them over the next couple months. So as always, guys, thanks so much for watching, and have a great day.